Thousands of years before the fall of Bast, the title-locked Moon of Kenshi was home to the First Empire, a prosperous and advanced continent-spanning civilization that likely fell due to a civil war and the First Extinction, when intelligent, skeleton robots would have exterminated their human creators, if not for Stobe, a great behemoth robot who sacrificed his life to save the last of humanity. In awe of Stobe's heroism, many skeletons were deeply ashamed of their actions and could not live with the guilt, resulting in some lost to mass suicides, while others learned to live with the pain, forever plagued by bouts of depression. After the Chaos Age, which followed the First Extinction, the surviving remnants of humanity fell to primitive barbarism, and so a group of skeletons formed the Second Empire, seeking redemption for their kind by creating a safe and prosperous environment for humanity. Led by the Emperor Cat-lon, the Second Empire thrived for many years, achieving great technological advancements in the field of genetic engineering, allowing them to enhance the physical traits of certain humans, endowing them with the mentality of warriors, to serve in a caste of enforcers, possibly acting as a branch of the imperial military. Although the skeletons created the Second Empire with noble intentions, the growing human population eventually rebelled, thanks in part to the emergence of a cult that worshipped Stobe, revering the giant robot for saving their people, while resenting the skeletons who nearly wiped them out. Over time, the cultists forgot the name Stobe, which they replaced with Kitrin, and organized themselves into a humanocentric religion based upon the belief that their deity sacrificed his life to cleanse the planet of sickness, but was reborn as Okrin, the god of day, warmth, and renewal, associated with human males, and Narko, the god of night, cold, and destruction, represented by females and non-humans. As the religion grew larger and more extreme, they started clashing with the government, and so Cat-lon sent police and military forces to restore order, possibly including the genetically enhanced enforcers, which may explain why the cultists considered them non-human beasts who served Narco. Yet the Emperor's iron-fisted approach only escalated the conflict, slowly weakening the realm until the cultists broke away to form the Holy Nation in the fertile lands at the center of the continent. The final catastrophe then came from a great famine, which at last saw the state dissolve, with individual peoples migrating to more resource-rich lands, or else ending their association with the Second Empire. Scattering in every direction, some humans became nomads, formed gangs, joined cults, or founded independent realms and settlements, while those seeking larger states could join the Holy Nation under the theocratic government of the Holy Phoenix, or the United Cities, formed as a successor state to the Second Empire through an alliance of settlements in the south and northeast of the continent, ruled by a feudal aristocracy and emperor. Meanwhile, the Enforcers migrated to the border zone, Sten Desert, and Spider Plains to live as warring tribes, eventually establishing the cities of Squin and their capital Admag, as well as several military outposts, like the Old Front Lines, the Great Fortress, Last Stand, and a northeastern settlement near the border zone. Yet as the years of war went on, the Enforcers veered further away from their human kin, not only in culture, but also appearance, developing purple skin as well as bone plates and spikes all over their bodies. Embracing these changes, they let their horns grow long as a sign of martial prowess, while those defeated in battle had their horns cut off, leaving them second-rate citizens of their society. Becoming known as the Shek, the legendary hero Crawl first united the tribes to form the Shek Kingdom, providing the basis for their warrior culture, strict honor code, and philosophy. A fearsome warrior to the end, Crawl died in combat while outnumbered 100 to 1 in the Spider Plains. Considered the greatest hero in Shek history, the outpost of Last Stand was built where he fought his final battle. Even in death, Crawl's legacy lived on, providing the foundation for a united Shek government ruled under the absolute authority of their greatest warrior, who could only be replaced if challenged and defeated in honorable combat to the death. This idea of all-out devotion to warfare echoed throughout all aspects of their culture, believing the aim of every Shek should be to die in glorious combat. Adhering to a strict caste system, Warriors held the most value in their society, and so some dedicated their lives to becoming Shek fighters, individuals who wandered the world seeking worthy opponents, while others entered military service to become Shek scouts, roaming their territories in small squads, ready to engage raiders and lawbreakers, or report on invasions and violations of their borders. There were also the Shek warriors, who served as guards for their settlements and as the bulk of their armies, fighting on the front lines of battle. Then there were the 100 Guardians, elite, veteran warriors who led patrols and raids, in addition to guarding the cities of Squin and Admag. Finally, there were the 5 Invincibles, the greatest of their warriors who lived in the capital Admag and led their armies into battle. During times of hardship, when the Shek were at their most desperate, some warriors became kamikaze soldiers, throwing themselves into battle with suicidal charges to damage the enemy as much as possible. Yet while many Shek sought the way of the warrior, only victory or death were considered honorable, meaning those defeated but left alive had their horns cut off, forced to choose between disgraceful exile, mercenary work, or life as Shek retainers, considered lower-class citizens who performed the non-military duties necessary for the prosperity of their civilization. As life was brutish, nasty, and short, all Shek strove to die with honor so they might enter Gateway, the afterlife reserved for those who lost their lives on the battlefield, stood strong in their beliefs, lived courageously, or demonstrated loyalty and devotion to their kin. Under the reign of King Shagger, the Shek Kingdom followed a policy of relentless attack, waging war against their hated enemies in the Holy Nation, who considered Shek as beastly former humans that must be enslaved and purified of their corruption. Through their aggression and skill as warriors, the Shek eventually captured the Holy Nation city of the Hub, only to suddenly and hastily abandon the settlement, setting fire to the buildings and leaving it a ruin. Unsure why they departed, the Holy Nation sent scouts to see if the hub could be resettled, but many, including several priests, claimed to see shadowy figures stalking them at night. When soldiers started disappearing, the scouts were convinced the city was cursed and so retreated, recommending against any further contact. Yet as it so happened, when both the Shek and Holy Nation departed, the trade ninjas moved in to open shops inside and outside the hub. The Shek also warred against the southern United Cities and any other enemy that presented itself. Yet this strategy brought them to ruin, as years of conflict led to the fall of the Great Fortress, the old front lines, and the northeastern border outpost. Nevertheless, Shagger refused to change his strategy or tactics, ordering a final, suicidal charge against the Holy Nation, so the last of their army might die as true warriors. But not all were willing to throw away their lives so recklessly, prompting the warrior Bayan to publicly object. Outraged, Shagger yelled and threatened Bayan, until the objection was echoed by Asada the Stone Golem, a member of the Invincible Five, considered one of the best fighters in the realm. Engaging in an epic duel, Asada killed Shagger to become Queen of the Shek, with Bayan as her most trusted advisor, her daughter Seto training as a warrior, and Mukai the Mountain as another influential leader, in a position to succeed as ruler of the kingdom. Though Asada still valued their warrior code, she sought to reform Shek society and ensure long-term survival by pulling their forces back from the Holy Nation front line, making peace with the United Cities, and opening their borders to trade. Though most still looked down on other races, individuals could earn respect by proving themselves in combat, and could even become honored allies by defeating a major enemy of the Shek. Although these new policies did much to stifle their decline, conflict continued not only against foreign powers, but also smaller factions and rebel groups, like the Bugmaster, a mysterious man some say is centuries old, living in an abandoned outpost with a connection to spider insects within the territory of Arak, using them as his personal army. A more traditional enemy of the Shek Kingdom came from Krall's Chosen, led by Ida the Flying Bull, a loyal friend of Shagger who refused submission to Asada, establishing New Krallia in the Sten Desert, west of the Great Fortress. Similar to Krall's Chosen, the Berserkers stood against Asada's government, wishing a return to the old ways of aggressive tribal warfare. establishing a village in the Spider Plains. They also had a strong presence further north in Berserker country. Led by the exiled warrior Suchan the Ghost, it is believed he was a warrior of high standing among the Shek, until defeated in combat, possibly by Gorillo, leader of the Gorillo bandits who stole his sword. Surviving the encounter, Suchan was disgraced and his horns cut off, yet rather than accept his fate and lay down his arms, he became Ghost and vanished into exile, where his reputation allowed him to form the widespread Berserkers. The final rebel group troubling the Shek Kingdom was the Band of Bones Outlaws, led by Tora the Fearless, also called Tora the Gutless, another Shek warrior who lost a battle and had her horns cut off. Yet similar to Ghost, she would not lay down her sword, and fled into exile where she formed a bandit crew. Though her main camp was in the Sten Desert, east of the Great Fortress, her people roamed the Bone Fields, High Bone Fields, Shem, Shun, the Spider Plains, the Hook, and the Swamp. Looking for something new to read? Then why not check out The Frozen God, Book 2 of the Heroes of the Nine Realms by Alex E. Martin, a longtime supporter of the channel. A thrilling continuation of the story from Book 1, Fugitives of Helheim. Follow Sigurd and his shape-shifting brother as they find themselves fugitives, doomed to travel across the Nine Realms to fulfill a series of impossible, God-given tasks. Though they won't get far with just their father's sword, true hope may lie in their family's darkest secret. In this chilling second installment of the Heroes of the Nine Realms, Sigurd the Dragon Slayer and his brother must brave sunless realms cold enough to freeze blood, ancient vengeful kings, and primordial old ones. They must forge alliances with gods and dwarves and face primordial foes in battles that will shape the foundations of the Nine Realms and reshape destiny itself. The Frozen God is another epic, dark mythic fantasy for fans of Norse mythology, gods, epic quests, action and adventure, and forbidden magic. So if you're interested, be sure to check out The Frozen God, available now on Amazon. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Tamika the Black Wolf, Faith the Wandering Huntress, Mamoru the Obscured Hermit Alchemist, and Ambassador Alex Nunez. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.